put my gun out. I was like, if he gets too close or he opens his mouth, I'm gonna have to shoot this thing. He like comes at me, turns right the last second, shoots up to the surface and goes, and my buddy who was like chopping the fish up on the surface, he goes and like gobbles it and swims off.
No way.
Yeah, and I go up to the surface. Yeah, he was like, that was a bull shark. We need to get out of the water.
All right, guys. Ephraim Ebstein here today from San Diego, cybersecurity expert. Thanks for coming on, man.
Yeah, man. Thank you, Sean.
Absolutely.
It's a pleasure. I'm excited to be on your podcast.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
So for those that don't know you built a $30 million business in revenue with 116 employees.
Yes, sir. Yeah. So in IT, cybersecurity, and now we're doing a lot in AI. So it's been a fun ride. I love being an entrepreneur, and I love the business side of it. You know, IT and cyber and AI is kind of what we do, but it's more about the mission to impact lives through technology and help people positively and have a great time.
I love it, man. When was the pivot to AI? Were you on it pretty early?
The AI pivot was probably like a year ago.
Okay.
So I wouldn't say super early, but I think right now is still super early because it's moving fast, but the majority of businesses still don't have AI in the company, like actively replacing headcount or something like that, right? They might be using applications to like give them ideas on writing papers or creating images or video. But the way AI is going, it's kind of sad and it's kind of scary in some sense, but it is going to replace a lot of jobs. You're already seeing it on certain drive-thrus when you call and make your order. You're talking to AI and not a human yet.
Oh, I haven't seen that yet.
Yeah,
At fast food spots.
Yeah, some fast food spots are adopting that. So that's a job, right? That's someone's job. But it's, you know, a lot of business owners are saying, "Hey, how do we bring AI into this business? We don't want to get left behind. What do we do?" And so as I was, you know, diving into AI, I wanted not just a feature set, but I wanted something that is like, where is it actively adding revenue to the company or replacing a task that a human does? And where we've landed on is texting. So because the voice is getting there, it's not quite 100% there. I think it'll be there in about a year.
Yeah.
But right now, texting, you can communicate via text with an AI, and the majority of people will not know they're talking to an AI.
Dude, have you seen Apple's new AI update?
I haven't played with it yet.
What?
Yeah, I need to.
Oh my God, update your phone tonight. It's in my text now.
I just got the update. I
Okay,
just haven't played with it yet.
Yeah. So basically when I open my messages now, you know how normally the text pops up?
Yep.
Now AI summarizes what they said and sends you a summary of each text.
Yeah.
It's nuts. So like someone could send a paragraph text and AI will summarize it for you in like a sentence.
There you go. Yeah. So it's already, the rate it's going is pretty insane. And I've already heard some of the AI voice stuff, and I wouldn't say it's like 10 out of 10. You know, it's not a human, but it kind of made me sad when I heard it because I realized the reason it made me sad is it was with one of our partners. He's creating a voice, and he was already like, it was doing solar sales in this case.
Yeah.
And I was listening to that and I was like, man, all those customer service, and I could have a full conversation, right, about solar. All those customer service jobs when you're, I don't know, call AT&T, Verizon, big companies. Small companies might not adopt it because they want to have high customer service. But the ones that don't care, I'm like, all those jobs are going to be toast in a few years.
Wow.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's going to be tough for people.
I think in the long run, it may be good because now it forces people to have higher skill levels.
Yeah. If you have a high skill level, there's going to be a lot of opportunity for you. It's the low skill people. So, you know, I guess if you're a young person, get good, get a skill.
Yeah. And learn a skill that can't be, I guess, duplicated easily by AI. But even podcasts, man, holy crap. There's some really convincing AI podcasts.
I already saw some of them
Google, I think, has a podcast AI.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's nuts. So I'm thinking of ways to differentiate this podcast from just talking to people.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever, I don't know. There's some things I think AI will never be as good as a human in, and maybe
Until it develops.
Who knows?
Yeah, until it develops consciousness, it won't be able to replicate emotions, I think, as well as humans.
Right.
So we got some years before that, hopefully.
Yeah, hopefully.
And then it goes Terminator. Searching for the perfect job can be overwhelming. You know it's out there, you just don't know how to find it. The good news, you don't have to do it alone. Shout out to today's sponsor, Specialized Recruiting Group. Specialized Recruiting Group is here to help. Personalized job search support tailored to your skills and needs. They connect job seekers with contract and full-time roles. The best part is that it's completely free for job seekers. Specialized Recruiting Group is ready to find the talent you need. Go to SRGpros.com, see how our recruitment specialists with a deep understanding of experience and expertise you need can find the right fit for your business. After all, you deserve to see the best candidates possible, both active and passive. Visit SRGpros.com today to start your job search. If you don't see the right job listed, SRG also recruits for confidential roles. Just call a local office to learn more. Take the next step in your career today at SRGpros.com.
Exactly. Yeah. So that's kind of what we've been doing on the AI. It's been pretty fun. It's been growing really rapidly, and it's been fun. We always, as a company, we have to evolve. And I realize that companies that don't evolve, they're usually left in the dust.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move, man. Because if you're not using AI in any way, I don't know if that's going to be sustainable in the long run.
Probably not, unless it's just a blue collar job. But even then, the companies that, maybe you go on the website, you ask a question, you're conversating immediately with AI versus a company that didn't have that. Going to have an advantage. You're going to take a bigger market share.
I mean, I've left banks because the wait time is like 3 hours.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather talk to at least AI so I could get some answers.
Yeah. If it can get the job done for you, you're going to be happy.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So you built this thing to over 100 employees. During that process, you were not a fan of DEI.
The way I grew up is my parents always taught me to value people for who they are on the inside and merit. And so that's been really important to me. But I'm not on the DEI train at all. And I feel that the whole DEI, well, now it's becoming unpopular.
Yeah.
But it was very popular, and there was a lot of pressure on companies to implement different DEI things, even on the private sector. Remember when the whole Black Lives Matter thing happened, everyone was posting the black square. If you don't post it, like, what are you saying about yourself? Right. And when I build my company, I believe in merit, and results is the world rewards you on results. Mm-hmm. And so hiring the best person for the job, regardless of their skin color, I think that is a much better system than trying to hire someone just based on their skin color and trying to, fit a certain quota in. And so I have a very diverse staff. In fact, my COO, and she's also now my business partner on a venture together. I've been friends with her since we were 15.
Wow.
Yeah, her name's Natasha, great friend of mine, dear friend of mine. And she's Black, she's a woman. And her being in the role has really nothing to do with her skin color or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's just that she's just amazing at what she does, and she gets results.
That's how it should be, right?
That's how we roll.
That's why I like business. That's why I'm a fan of capitalism to a certain degree.
Yeah.
I like conscious capitalism. I like when the consumers are also benefiting.
Yeah. I mean, definitely, like, capitalism has probably a dark side, which we've seen, but it is good to let the market decide and have that freedom, because I feel like socialism is more broken than capitalism. They're both probably got negatives to them.
Time will tell, right?
Yeah.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah.
So because last year you did 30 million in revenue, right?
We did 30 million. Yeah. And we had a really interesting event. So in 23, our company had never known anything but growth from the time we started in the end of 2012 was when I started it. And then in 23, we did 28 million. And I had a situation where I have a very large customer.
Yeah.
And they they were going public. They were nursing home operator, made up at that time over 70% of our revenue. So a really bad place to be. But I love this customer because a lot of our growth, I have to give credit where credit is due, is because of their expansion. And we got to go on that ride with them. But they said, hey, we're going public. And at this point, they're over 300 nursing homes.
Wow.
Every single one we onboarded, we helped support. We went through every life cycle with them where we've helped them, where we were everything, all their IT, all their cybersecurity, to helping them hire their first IT director, to helping them build their team. And then in the summer of 23, they said, hey, you're a great partner. We love you, but we're going public and we're going to take a lot of this in-house over the next year and a half, which is when the contract was expiring. So I was stressed out. I was worried for the employees.
Yeah.
And because I was like, man, what's this going to be painful? What if I have to lay off a lot of employees? I was scared. So what I did instead is I went to them. I said, hey, how about this? What if you buy out of the contract now, you hire basically these employees, purchase from us, in essence, a division of the company. We'll give you the IP, all the information. We'll give you turnkey what you need from the IT side, make sure it's super successful. You take these employees with you. And it was great. It was great for them because they saved money on the contract. It was great for us because we made more on that sale than we would have in net profit from keeping the contract for a year and a half. And I saved everybody but 3 jobs. We had 3 layoffs. I helped 2 of them actually find another job after that. So it was really a net loss of one job, which probably had to go anyway. But it was a huge success story. So it reset us. So that was all positive. The only thing is now it reset us. We lost $9 million in recurring revenue. So my intention and my goal was in 23, I was like, in 24, I was like, I want to do the same amount of revenue in 24 that we did in 23. So we had to basically make back $9 million in revenue plus, and we outperformed it. So yeah.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's
we did 30.
Incredible story.
Awesome. Yeah.
Sometimes those setbacks are blessings in disguise, right?
It was, because we're a way better, stronger organization now, right? More diverse in the client base. We had to get stronger in our processes and refined in what we were doing. Because when you have one really large customer, it's easy to get absorbed in taking care of them. And, even though you're building processes, they don't really get put to the same test. They don't get stretched as hard as when you have a diverse client base,
right?
Which is the way it should be. So it was a blessing.
I love that. So are nursing homes targets for these cyber attacks? I'd imagine because it's an elderly crowd, people are trying to attack.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. We were doing IT as well as cyber for them. So, IT support they feel it immediately. If you can't print or can't run a chart or run a med cart and do, medical passes or something, it's a big deal. But cyber attacks are a big thing. And I think every business is just getting hammered by it, because the reason it's such a big thing now is that these criminal groups, a lot of them run like companies. So there's a boss. A lot of them are overseas and they have employees, and they staff employees, even give them health coverage. They have an office they come into, and they hire smart people. And they just work as a team to, exploit legitimate companies and get money out of them. And it works. And there's very little consequences for them.
Right.
You call the FBI. If you don't have a case over $1 million, they just say, tough luck, call your insurance. Yeah. So it has to be, for them to even open a case, has to be over $1 million loss. And then when they start the investigation, as soon as they start doing some forensics, they see this is going overseas. Even if the group is in the United States, they'll connect overseas and then connect back.
Oh, VPN.
Yeah, VPN and all kinds of things. And then they're like, oh, we don't have jurisdiction there. Sorry, case closed. Jeez. So that's why less than 2% there's any kind of resolution.
That's crazy.
Yeah, from a legal standpoint, from consequences.
Yeah, because a lot of these guys are probably international. So
yeah.
Maybe the country they're in doesn't even care, because I know there's a lot of hackers in North Korea.
Yeah.
A lot of crypto hackers over there.
Yeah, exactly. They don't care. And we had a business owner, they cleaned out over $2 million out of his crypto
Holy
account.
crap.
Yeah,
They got his
really
keys, or how did they get it?
I don't know exactly how they did it. He was talking to us to see if we could help with them. He never actually ended up hiring us, but yeah, he lost it. I don't think he ever got it back.
That's terrible. Yeah, crypto, once you lose it, you're not really.
Yeah, like really, what can they do?
I got SIM hacked once. That sucked. Have you seen that hack before?
Yeah.
That's like the worst. Because if they get your SIM card, they got all your texts and everything.
Everything.
Yeah, your email.
Yeah, they can do multi-factor authentication, get in as you on logins. All kinds.
There's a lot of carriers that really, I guess, tightened their security when that started happening because they were getting sued.
Yeah.
For allowing that.
Yeah, I know the MGM here in Vegas, the MGM one was a really big one.
That was a big one. $10 million or something.
Oh, it was more.
And they paid it, right?
More. Yeah, they paid it because the money that they were losing of not being operational was more than, I don't know how many millions they were losing per day. But
probably a lot because you got the rooms plus the gambling.
Yeah.
People couldn't gamble.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the way they did that, so a lot of the hacks actually start with social engineering, and that's exactly what it was. They hired a new IT person on the team. And obviously MGM has a huge IT team. So he was like administrator. He updated his LinkedIn. So I'm assuming they just saw his LinkedIn, saw that he got a job at MGM. So they called the help desk pretending to be him and said, hey, this is, John, the new ... Can you help reset my password? I can't get in. So the IT help desk group reset his password. They logged in as him. They now had access because he was IT administrator in the environment, had access to the server infrastructure. Immediately, it was the group started doing multiple people working on it, started going through the environment, started staging ransomware, pushed it out, locked it all up.
Nuts. And nothing ever happened to those hackers, I believe.
They got money.
I saw.
They got rich.
They got rich, but nothing trouble-wise.
No, absolutely not. So now they're going to probably have more money to hire more staff, and
they went after Caesars the next week, I believe.
Yeah,
Caesars Palace.
Yeah,
and they own a bunch of casinos in Vegas. I don't know how that one went, but crazy.
They work. Yeah, it works. It works good, and it's not just a lot of companies think that, or business owners just think, oh, it's the big companies, the MGM stuff like that. No, the majority of it, MGM, everyone knows it and it's big, so it made the news. By far, the majority of it is only smaller businesses. Yeah. Because they're easy, low-hanging fruit.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Has your view of money changed over the years as you've made more and more?
Absolutely. Yeah. So, growing up, I grew up middle class. We weren't poor, but we weren't rich at all. A camping trip was vacation.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. We weren't like flying on a yacht or anything like that. So, we grew up with middle class financial literacy, and it wasn't until much later I learned financial literacy through mentors. And unless you're born into like a rich parents that teach you this, or unless you go out and find mentors, which most people don't do, you're really not going to learn it because you're not going to learn it in school. Right. So, just how I invest, how I think about saving, everything about it has changed from a financial literacy thing, but also, for me, experiences, being able to do things, freedom is much more important to me than money itself. Money is just like the unit, the freedom unit to get it done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet you feel freedom when you're spearfishing.
I love that. Yeah. I was wondering if you're going to bring that up. Yeah, I love spearfishing. I love being on the ocean. We did this really cool trip this last summer. Lived on a catamaran for 5 days, sailing different islands in Fiji, and got to do a lot of spearfishing. It was great.
I've never done it. It seems pretty fun.
It is fun. It's basically snorkeling, holding your breath, diving down. It's like hunting underwater, trying to get fish that way.
What's the biggest fish you've caught?
I got a fish that was close. I didn't get an official weight. It was close to 300 pounds.
What?
Yeah.
Holy crap.
Yeah, I'll show you a picture.
Dude, so you need
down in Mexico.
You shoot it in the head, right? That's how it.
That ideally you shoot them in the head or in the spine.
Holy crap.
But
300 pounds.
Yeah, it was close to 300. And it was funny, 2 weeks later, so that fish I shot, and we prepared it. I eat all the fish. So I had a lot of meat. And that fish was kind of tough because it was so big, so old. And it didn't taste bad, but it was like kind of chewy.
Yeah. You see that with lobsters too.
Yeah. So I kind of felt bad afterwards because we weren't gobbling it up like we did the other meat. And about 3 weeks later, I was out again in the same area. And I saw one. I swear this thing must have been 500-600 pounds.
A fish?
Yeah, it looked like a Volkswagen. It was so big, and I could have shot him. He swam by me a couple times, but I didn't shoot him because I had already just shot a big one. We weren't eating the meat, and I wasn't there about killing it. And now, yeah, I let him go. But it was pretty cool. Dude, it was a really cool experience. It was a big fish.
I didn't know fish got that big.
Yeah, they get big. There's some that are over 1,000 pounds in the ocean.
Holy
marlins and tunas and stuff.
You see any sharks when you're out there?
I do. I don't see them a lot. In fact, I had my first scary shark experience just this last summer. Before that, I had seen sharks, but never anything that was like that I had any kind of adrenaline rush where I was scared.
Okay.
Anything, right. And in Fiji, we were trying to get dogtooth tuna. So we had shot this smaller fish and we were chopping it up and like letting it float out.
Mm-hmm.
And the idea was to try and get these because the dogtooth will come and eat it. So I was waiting for it. I was diving down. I think I was around 60 feet at that dive. And I saw a shark. There was sharks all over this down there in the South Pacific, but they're mostly reef sharks. And this was like, that one's a little bit bigger. And most of the time when the sharks are around, I'll just like swim aggressively towards them and they'll just take off.
Really?
Yeah. So if you act aggressive, they're like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with this guy.
Yeah.
So I was like, that's a little bit bigger one. Maybe I should swim towards him and like intimidate him a little bit. And I start swimming towards him. And he like, when I start doing that, he was kind of going off to the side. He like whips a U-turn, starts swimming at me.
No way.
Yeah, as fast as he can. And I remember it was like slow motion because he had all these little like yellow fish like swimming next to him. And I was like, man, I put my gun out. I was like, if he gets too close or he opens his mouth, I'm going to have to shoot this thing. He like comes at me, turns right the last second, shoots up to the surface and goes, and my buddy who was like chopping the fish up on the surface, he goes and like gobbles it and swims off.
No way.
Yeah. And I go up to the surface and he was like, that was a bull shark. We need to get out of the water.
Holy
and I had seen bull sharks in videos, but I hadn't dove the South. I dove a lot of Mexico, a lot of the Pacific. I dove Indonesia and stuff, but I hadn't done like I hadn't had a bull shark encounter yet.
Yeah.
So that was my first one. And it wasn't till like after I was on the boat, I was like, oh man, that was kind of sketchy.
Because you were just so in the moment.
I didn't like feel scared in the moment.
Yeah.
But afterwards, I'm like, man, that would have been pretty bad.
Dude, that's nuts. How big was it?
Oh man, he was fat. He was very fat. And he was, I want to say maybe 8 feet with tail.
Damn.
Like that. Yeah.
Big.
Maybe a little longer with the tail.
I wonder if your spear gun would have killed that.
Oh yeah, he would have. I would have like.
Because sharks have thicker skin too, right?
The spear gun. It would have went through him.
Oh, what if?
He would have been jacked. He would have died.
Okay.
Which is, I didn't want to do that either. But I probably would have lost a lot of that gear.
Yeah.
Bent up the shaft and all that kind of stuff.
Damn.
Yeah.
That is scary, man. Yeah. Bull sharks are one of the most aggressive.
Yeah,
sharks,
but
right?
that's if I have a shot, which I did in this case. Like, 'cause he was coming straight at me. I mean, if he had come behind me or something, then I might be out of luck.
And he was solo.
He was solo. Yeah. So we said, okay, let's stop chumming for now.
Nuts. You see any dolphins or anything cool?
Yeah, I see a lot of dolphins. I've got a lot of sea turtles, manta rays.
That's beautiful, man.
It's like a different world. I love the ocean. I love being underwater.
Yeah.
And
60 feet deep.
You never know what you're going to see.
Yeah.
So it's exciting.
So you're holding your breath the whole time?
Yeah, just holding your breath.
Dude, that's insane.
Just free diving. I'm really not even that good. I think my deepest dives are about 75 feet. And I get I know I could go deeper, but I like to be conservative. I don't want to die.
Yeah.
A lot of free divers die.
I mean, yeah, that's pretty deep.
Yeah.
Just getting down there probably takes like 20 seconds, right?
I know a lot of guys. Oh yeah, for sure. So if you're going at the right pace, it should take you about 20 seconds to get around 60 feet. If you're going kind of at a moderate pace, like meter a second, something like that.
You're also using energy to get down and up. So you got to calculate that, right?
So it's all about just being relaxed and not feeling tense. So you just want to reduce your oxygen, use these really big fins, do slow kicks.
How long are you holding your breath?
Usually a minute to a minute and a half.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That's not as long as I thought. I'm picturing long.
Once again, there's guys, I know guys that do 2-3 minutes. I just don't want to die.
That's where it gets risky, right?
Yeah, it gets risky. So guys have shallow water blackouts. And
damn.
Yeah, it's a very common way for free divers to die.
Wow.
So I think, and honestly, I don't think you get any more fish. Like most of the fish I've ever shot are within the first 20 to 30 seconds.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's usually on the drop. They'll usually come check you out. Sometimes it's a little bit later, but you know.
I heard dolphins are really smart.
Really smart. Yeah, they're really cool animals.
Yeah, I'm fascinated by them. They can communicate with each other.
Yeah, in fact, there's they're doing studies on orcas, right, and the pods, and usually when they're born into a pod, that's like their tribe, their people. They don't leave and usually go to another pod, and they also, the language between the pod is almost like a human language. So the other pods don't really quite understand what they're saying.
Whoa.
But together they've realized that they can communicate together. And some pods hunt different things. So it's really interesting. There's like some pods in California that they've now observed they'll kill and eat great white sharks. Other orca pods do not do that. There's a pod in New Zealand that knows how they'll blow like stingrays and flip them over, and they'll eat the stingrays without getting stung.
What?
Other pods don't do that. So they've somehow learned these things and they communicate it and they've learned it from each other. And it's kind of their thing. There's a pod down in, I think it's in Argentina. I might be wrong, but they're the ones that beach themselves and grab the seals off the beach. I don't know if you've seen it. It's pretty, the seal's like hightailing it for its life, thinking it's on the, almost on the sand. This thing will like slide out of the water, that it's like out of the water, grab it, and then kind of like start flipping around to get itself back into the water.
Crazy.
Only that pod does it, or maybe 1 or 2 pods do that, but not the ones in California don't do that, and the ones down there don't eat sharks. It's kind of interesting.
Killer whales, man.
Yeah, but dolphins are right in that family. Super smart. They figure stuff out.
What about octopus? You see any of those?
I have seen some octopus. They're really cool.
They're smart too.
Yeah, they're smart. There's a cool documentary called My Octopus Teacher.
I heard about it. I didn't see it yet though.
Yeah, I never felt so sad for an octopus because it goes through its whole life. And at the end, of course, they only live like 2 years.
Oh, that's it?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's a short. So he goes with it till it dies at the end. And so
I didn't know that. I thought they lived forever.
You're like, oh my gosh, this poor little octopus. But then, of course, I go to the restaurant and I eat octopus.
Oh,
terrible person.
It tastes so good.
So tasty. I love it.
My fiance refuses to eat cephalopods like squid and octopus, and I love it. But she thinks they're too smart. So
I can feel that with the octopus. But the squid, yeah, you can eat those.
They're not as smart.
I don't know. You know what? The thing about the ocean is everything in the ocean dies a gruesome death. So take the humans out of it. There's nothing that like grows old and just dies peacefully.
Maybe a turtle, right?
Even they get eaten by sharks.
True.
Yeah, so you see turtles with their fins ripped off, or sea lions will kill them. So everybody's killing everybody in the ocean, and they all die. And if you're lucky in the ocean, you grow big, but then eventually you grow weak, and then you get eaten too.
That's a terrifying life.
It's a terrifying life.
Wow.
So
yeah, imagine being a wild animal.
Yeah. Yeah, it's wild.
Yeah, being human is pleasant.
It is. Yeah, it is. It is. So I love animals. I'm not all about killing animals. In fact, most of the time when I go out there, I'm very selective. I'm only taking fish that I need. So if I don't need a fish and I don't see one I really want, I just have a great time underwater. That's it.
That's respect, man.
Yeah.
What else you do for fun?
Man, I love traveling. I love skiing. I love backpacking, hiking, hunting, anything that's really outdoorsy.
Where have you hunted?
And so we do a lot of bird hunting with my brother. He's got a kennel. He trains and breeds bird dogs, French Brittany's, and they're really cool because if you ever hunted with a dog, they'll it's like a collaboration,
Yeah.
Man and beast to get something. And it's a very cool experience, and it's really addicting. And so, the dog will find birds, point the bird, if necessary, even help you flush the bird. And then if you can shoot the bird, then they'll retrieve it for you out of water. If it's lost in the bush, they'll sniff it out, find it, bring it back. So it's a really fun experience. So do some of that. I've done some big game hunting as well. Nothing crazy, just deer, boar, that kind of thing.
I've never seen a wild boar. I like eating them though.
They're good. They're good. And you know what's kind of crazy about wild boar is it tastes great. It tastes like pork, a little less fatty, but still fatty. But you don't get that heavy feeling afterwards. So
that's a good point.
Yeah. So I was like, I started buying because I'll order beef and pork online, high quality grass fed stuff. But I do a lot of wild game. I'll order wild boar as well, because I don't get to hunt as much as I'd like. So when I have it, I eat it all. But I'll order wild boar, wild elk, venison, and you really feel great. And here's what I say about the wild animals is they had a great life. They just had one bad day. Most of the farm animals have their entire life sucks.
Most of them,
yeah. Most of them.
Unless it's like a good farm.
Yeah, unless a good farm. So I like to support the good farms. I love what Switzerland does with their farm animals. They have like very strict laws, like cows have to be put out to pasture on the grassy fields. Yeah. So they can't like live in those stalls and all that kind of stuff. So
yeah, I hate seeing those videos.
I hate that.
They come up on my Instagram.
Yeah, I hate it. It drives me crazy.
Yeah. It makes me upset actually, because some animals are super smart.
Super smart. Yeah. And it's just, animal still they feel pain, they feel fear, they feel all those things. And so you got to treat it with respect, kind of think of like the way that Native Americans treated, the animals that they hunted with respect.
Have you tried that deer from Hawaii yet?
Yes.
I need to try that.
Delicious.
I'm going to order some this week.
Delicious.
I've been seeing
Axis
it.
Deer. Yeah.
Axis deer, yeah.
Yeah. I got to go actually last year on Molokai with a friend of a friend, some local guys. So I got to stay at their house, got to hunt in Molokai, and that was a great experience. Yeah.
That is cool,
so I
man.
liked it.
I've never been hunting.
It's fun, man. It's more hiking with a firearm than it really is hunting. But if you do get the right opportunity to take an animal, then you can you get to eat it, and as long as you're respecting it, and I think it's great.
Yeah, I'm big on nature, so I think I'd like it. Just being out there.
Yeah,
that's the one downside, I guess, of the city life, being in Vegas.
Yeah, it's good to. It's good. Well, the nice thing is you can get I'm sure you could travel anywhere you want from Vegas. Flight goes every part of the world.
Yeah, we're close to Cali. Yeah, we got direct flights pretty much anywhere in the U.S., I feel like.
Yeah. So it's great. It's a great thing it's very sustainable too. So I encourage people that if they think they would like to do it, that they should give it a try at least once. You also then, I think you respect the food that I know this sounds silly, but like it bothers me to buy meat and have it go bad and throw it out because I'm like, that animal died for nothing. So even the way I think about grocery meat, I have even though I never saw that animal, I didn't kill that animal, because I'm consuming it. I don't want it to die for nothing.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm not big on leftovers.
Yeah.
My mom taught me that growing up.
Yeah, same.
Yeah,
same.
You got to eat everything.
You got to eat everything. So I have dogs, and they eat a lot of scraps if there is any left.
I feed my dogs raw meat.
It's great. I do too. What kind of dogs do you have?
Australian Shepherd, super active, and then a Golden Mountain Dog. Have you heard of that breed?
No. What is that?
It's half Golden Retriever, half Bernese Mountain Dog.
That seems like a cool dog.
Yeah, he's awesome. Shout out to Otis.
There you go.
Yeah, but no, I switched them to raw because they used to get like itchy and like sick a lot off the kibble.
Yeah, and if you look at not most, but I don't know what the percentage is. A lot of these animals are dying from cancer.
A lot of them.
And it's from like most of my dogs growing up all died from, they get lumps and these weird stuff. If you go on the raw meat, they're going to live way longer. You're going to have less vet bills, which is better. Yeah,
I think the average lifespan is 1/3 of what it used to be for dogs compared to when our grandparents were having dogs.
Yeah.
They used to live 15, 20 years easy.
That's true.
Yeah, now they live 7 on average.
Yeah. So I'm sure if you just feed them the raw stuff, you're gonna get that extra life. My one girl, she's 15, German short hair pointer, and she's still going strong, kind of half blind, half deaf, got arthritis, but she walks through the yard. She's always she wants to explore constantly. I have to kind of temper her because her arthritis, but she's on the raw food, and I think a big reason she's alive is because of that.
I love it, man. Yeah, I hate going to the vet, dude, because they give like 10 vaccines a year to them. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean, if you can, I don't do the yearly vaccines. They get every dog I've ever had just gets like the parvo, kind of the puppy vaccines, and then after that,
after that they keep pushing them. It's like, when does this end, man?
Same thing with the humans, right? Now and you have all these crazy issues in humans, and
they're on the 5th COVID vaccine now.
It's wild. I think the vaccine. I think just everything that's happening in the environment with vaccines is one little piece of it, but you have like the plastics and just the air quality and the water quality, just everything. And they try to say with the vaccines, well, there's no correlation to autism or whatever. Well, I don't think that the vaccine is maybe directly causing the autism, but there's definitely a correlation. It's the same thing. Like you could say gluten doesn't cause allergic reaction, doesn't cause whatever issues, but then you have people that are gluten intolerant. And I think all of that stuff is just, we're getting bombarded by unhealthy things constantly. And some people's bodies just cannot react
100%.
Well to it, right? Like you have a bunch of little kids, you inject them with a bunch of vaccines at the same time. There's bound to be issues.
Yeah.
And it's like, you say, oh, well, was it the vaccine or was it the kid's body that couldn't handle the vaccine? And maybe some tolerate it better than others, but it's bad.
I mean, you saw it during the pandemic. Some people could not tolerate it. I knew a couple people that died.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was directly from it, but it was right after they got it, and it was weird. Like they were super young.
So one of the guys that worked with us at the time, healthy guy, late 30s, he has a heart issue from the vaccine, 100%. Jeez. I forgot what it's called. It starts with an M, I think. But it's like where your heart loses elasticity or whatever.
Wow.
And
that's terrible.
Yeah.
He got all 3 or all 4 shots.
I don't remember, but it like they 100% ruled it down to the vaccine. I'm like, he probably, for sure, I don't think that guy would have died. He was...
Oh, he died?
No, he would not have died from COVID.
Oh.
Right, if he got COVID.
Yeah, no, it was just, now they're coming out, it's just like a cold, right?
Yeah, basically. Yeah, the people that were dying had, overall, I'm sure there was exceptions, but overall they were, most people were overweight, unfortunately, and most people had other health issues, or they were old. But I mean, when you're 80 or 90, you die from the flu or the cold all the time.
You die from a fall too.
Yeah, you break your hip.
Super weak.
Yeah, you're not moving.
I got it 4 or 5 times, the COVID.
Really?
Yeah. The first time I actually thought I was going to die, that was the worst. It turned into pneumonia. But the rest of the times, I didn't even know I had it. It was like...
Yeah, I got it for sure once, maybe twice. I didn't do the vaccine. And the one time it was like, I had one super bad day. Like where I was just laying there, couldn't even like look at my phone or anything. And then the next day I was really like 50% better.
Yeah.
So fortunately for me, it didn't last that long. My brother got it. He was like in that state for a few days. And then we did the monoclonal antibodies.
Yeah.
Which...
The one they told you not to take?
Yeah. Well, no, that one actually was FDA approved.
Oh,
but what they were doing is they were like saying, oh, only, at least in California, only if you're over like 70. And they were like, we don't have enough of it. So they're trying to regulate people getting it.
Got it.
But I kind of heard about it from like the Joe Rogan podcast and stuff like that. So, but here's the thing. You could get it if you private paid it. So all the people with insurance or without health insurance, you couldn't get your hands on it.
Got it.
Impossible. You private paid it, $2,000, you could get it.
Damn, it was that much?
Yeah, it was $2,000. So I paid for it for my brother, my wife. She needed it one time too. When she got it, she was out pretty bad. And I mean, within hours, you were like already feeling
holy crap
better. And I was like, why are they not pushing this? They just wanted everybody on this vaccine cycle so bad that even though this was a good proven treatment, this wasn't even like the ivermectin or stuff. This was like, yeah, it works, but we got to limit it. There's not enough, right? So it was that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But it kind of shows once again, it's unfair, but if you had the money to pay for it, you could do it. And so, going back to our conversation with money, it's not that I love money, but being able to do something like that for a family member is important to me. It was important.
Yeah.
So that's a big reason I like to, make my business successful.
I'm with you on that. Provides a lot of comfort, especially mentally.
Right. Yeah.
Like, because I've been broke twice. I've made and lost my money twice already. And I grew up kind of middle class like you.
How did you make your money back?
Well, this second time around, it's been the podcast.
That's
so
awesome.
I was broke. I lost everything during that crypto bear market. I was over leveraged. So that was 3 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, I was way over leveraged.
Yeah.
Made a ton in crypto, lost it all because I never sold. And then the first time I got way too excited about sports cards. It was like there was a boom in sports cards.
So what did you learn that now you're gonna apply?
Both of them were just over leveraged and relying too much on emotions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I turned my passion into like in a very emotional thing.
Yeah. So are you going to take that lesson now if you go into real estate or crypto again or something?
Yeah. I'm very careful with investments now.
Yeah.
Because I realized, because I'm in a 7-year relationship, I'd get married this year.
Congrats, man.
Yeah. When I mess up though, it's not just on me anymore. Like it affects the whole family. I got 2 dogs. We got a house now.
Yep.
So I need to be more responsible basically.
That's awesome. I try to look at because I've had a lot of losses in business too. Like I did a CrossFit gym and I was doing this while I had the IT business and it was super fun, but I lost probably $250,000 trying to do it because on the side. And then I just ended up giving it away. I just sold the equipment.
Yeah.
And I look back and I'm like, okay, but what did I learn? And there was some lessons I learned. So I basically bought myself $250,000 of lessons that I do feel have made me successful in other areas. And, I think the mistake a lot of people do is when they have a failure, they don't analyze it, take responsibility and say, what can I learn?
Right.
So when I go again, instead of letting the failure define them or stop them or make them have fear from going forward again, they take that and they say, what can I learn? How can I try again? Newton,
Isaac Newton.
Who created the light bulb? Not Newton.
Edison.
He had over 1,000 times he failed on the light bulb, but he just kept doing it. But every time he would say, okay, what did I learn? Do it again, do it again, do it again. So, I think that's what you have to do if you want to be successful. And you never really fail if you don't stop trying. If you stop trying, that's when you truly failed. But otherwise, it's just a learning experience to the road to success.
Yeah. I actually had a guest on yesterday Friday. And he was talking to a billionaire and he said, the billionaire asked him, have you ever failed in business before?
Yeah.
And he was like, yeah. And the guy was like, good. I don't work with people that haven't failed in business before because they've never cycled.
Yeah. And that's why you see guys that are billionaires and they lose it all and then they're a billionaire again. I think Trump did
it, 6 times?
Yeah. And you think, how is that even possible? But it's a skill set and they learned from it and they reapply it. So
yeah, because if you've never had that financial failure, you're gonna kind of have an ego about it and a false confidence.
You're gonna have a false confidence and right. And then was your success, how much of your success was duplicable? Could you do it again?
Right. Because a lot of success is timing and luck too.
Yeah.
Right place, right time. You see it in the AI industry.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, there's people that were planning to start AI companies 5-10 years ago and they're calling that lucky, but was it luck or were they planning it? So maybe both. I don't know.
Yeah. I think the way I like to think about luck is it's a combination of it's when preparation meets opportunity. And so if you're preparing and putting yourself in the way of opportunities, you're going to get lucky a lot.
I agree.
Yeah.
I think you can control your luck. I used to, when I was younger, I used to be like, oh, why do bad things happen to me?
Yeah.
Has
your mindset changed on that now?
Oh, yeah. Now when bad things happen to me, I'm like, okay, great. Let me learn from this. I'm not going to have a victim mindset about it.
Yeah.
Everyone's dealing with shit.
Yeah. People that are very successful tend to not have victim mindsets at all. And they tend to take responsibility for everything. So they get in a car crash and they're like, it was my fault. Right. I should have left earlier. I should have done this. I should have done that. And you're like, well, that wasn't your fault. The guy did this, right? But they don't ever want to be the victim. And they always try to say, okay, what could I have done to prevent this from happening? My house burnt down. But instead of being the victim, well, next time I'm going to add sprinklers to the roof or whatever.
Right.
So it's not to say that bad things can't happen that are out of your control, but just the mindset's completely different.
Yeah.
And I've tried to really take that and try to take accountability and responsibility. So everything that happens to me is my fault, and everything that happens, good or bad, is because of me.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's something I've seen in the top entrepreneurs. When you study like guys like Elon,
they do that. Yeah.
They all do that.
Yeah. So I can't take credit for that. I've learned it from mentors, and I look at what other people are doing that are successful. And I'm like, how can I make my success easy? And the easy way is to duplicate what someone is already doing versus trying to learn the hard way. So I've gotten to a point in my life that I want to do the hard way as least as possible. Not to say that life is not hard, but if I can just copy what someone is already doing successfully, I can just follow in their footsteps, and I still have to do the hard work. I have to put the action in. I have to put the effort in, but I don't have to make the same mistakes, and I can, make it easy on myself. Or as easy as possible.
Agreed. Was Robert Urjevec from Shark Tank someone you copied early on?
You know what? I like Robert Herjavec a lot, and I would love to meet him.
He's coming on.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
I'll text you that day. Maybe you could stop.
Yeah, maybe I'll come and sit in the lobby and just eat snacks and hopefully run into him. I hadn't studied him enough, and I don't know enough about how he scaled his business to be able to copy him, but he's definitely someone I would like to. And he's in the exact same industry. That's kind of where he came up from.
Yeah.
Obviously I know some things about him, but I look at Grant a lot.
Grant Cardone.
Dawson. Yeah, I love Grant. He was just here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Brandon's been on too.
Oh, Brandon's been on.
Yep.
So those are a couple guys I look up to a lot. There's some others that I even like Sam Waltman from Walmart. I read his book and I took a lot of lessons. I remember I was someone said, a lot of people pay a few $100s for some Nikes, but they won't even pay $10 to buy Sam Waltman's book. How he scaled Walmart, right? One of the richest people of all, or at least for that time period. And I remember when he said, I was like, man, that is so true. Why don't I do that? And so I bought his book and I read it, and I applied a lot of stuff that Sam Waltman did. And
books are the best ROI of all time. And also there's free books now. There's an app called there's a library app, forget the name, but I'll find it and link it in the video. But yeah, you get free books. Audible is a free book a month if you're on Prime, if you listen to audiobooks.
Yes.
There's a lot of good free books on YouTube. But yeah, even if you're buying them, it's like 10 to 20 bucks.
People, you're getting that information directly from their brain and getting to download it into your brain, and people are not doing it. And so it's amazing. A lot of people are like, hey, how do I invest? And I know a lot of people are, you know more about this, but a lot of people invest in crypto, especially if they don't have money to put to assets like real estate when you're getting started. But I think one of the best things you can do to invest in yourself is your education.
Agreed.
And books is one of the cheapest things. You go to events, networking things, find mentors. But with books, you can get that information. And what I like to do is take a pen or a little marker, because most books, I learned this from I think it was a Ty Lopez podcast. I'm not like a huge fan, but I do like some of the things he says. And one of the things he said is most big books have a lot of fluff in them.
Yeah.
And there's just, gold nuggets, right? A lot of sand and gold nuggets, but they can't put like their 3 or 4 ideas on 5 pieces of paper and sell it to you. They got to put stories in there and all that stuff. But I'll go with the pen and I'll try and like underline like, hey, what are the gold nuggets that I actually have to take and apply, and try and get, identify that within the book. And it helps me, identify the lesson, apply the lesson, and it gets my brain working on like, how do I use this in my business or leading people? And a lot of the skills I have now, I came up with learning a technical skill set because I was an IT guy. And then when I started a business, I had to learn things like sales, financial literacy, and leadership. And those were not natural to me. I had to learn those. And I learned those through books and other people. So
that makes sense.
You can learn anything.
Yeah. Shout out to books, shout out to podcasts. There's so many good ways to learn these
I love
days.
listening to podcasts. Yeah, you get so much information and you're like, oh, that's interesting. I could do that. And you get that information for free, almost like you met that person training you.
I'm learning every single day, man. Like when I have on a guest, I'm either reading their book, listening to their podcast, or both.
Yeah.
When I'm preparing for episodes.
Well, I'm sure it's a big part of your success.
I think so.
You're up and I don't want to even say up and coming. Now you have a name for yourself and it's only growing, right? Your star is rising. But how many people are there with podcasts, and what are you doing differently? Obviously you're having good guests, but that's not it.
That's not enough.
I can see all the work that goes into making this happen.
No, that's not enough, dude. Because a lot of people have Grant Cardone on their show. He actually texted me yesterday, like, dude, the way you edit and like ask questions and converse is like game changer.
Yeah.
And coming from Grant, that's a huge compliment. He's been on some of the biggest shows.
So were you observing other people and kind of like, because you wanted to you came from crypto into podcasting.
Which is a huge change.
Yeah.
Because the crypto space is a bunch of internet nerds, super introverted, which is what I was.
Right.
So to come into podcast, I was not naturally good at this. So like you said, I learned everything. Yeah, I learned everything from watching other shows, studying other guests, stuff like that.
I like that you said you were introverted, but now you're doing this.
I mean, I'm still introverted, but
but I think people will put themselves in boxes when they say I'm extroverted or I'm introverted. Like maybe you're not comfortable doing something, but it doesn't mean you can't.
Right. I agree. Don't use it as an excuse.
Don't use it as an excuse.
Just recognize what I guess you lean towards, but at the same time, you could toggle it.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to put work in to make it happen.
Yeah.
And now you're here.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's like, okay, is my energy drained or not after I talk to someone?
Okay.
That's kind of what I mean by introverted.
How do you feel at the end of the day after all these?
Depends on who's on.
Okay.
So like right now I feel great. You were great and the guest before you was great. But sometimes there's a guest where I feel drained afterwards.
So do you think it's like somehow their mindset or their energy? Like
something, yeah. I'm still trying to figure it out. Something with their energy, maybe their substance. Sometimes they talk too much. I'm still trying to figure it out, but I don't know.
I guess that shows you get so much exposure to so many people. It shows why it's important to pick who you're around with your friends in your free time.
100%.
Because that you're going to be like them.
I mean, it's so true. It's so cliche. The 5 people that like it's facts. I mean, you look at our friends when we were younger and that's who we were at the time.
100%.
And now you look at who's around us now and there's a reason we're at where we're at.
Yeah. So you have to, I mean, it's the same thing like you're getting married, right? Your friend set when you're married, if you want to stay married, you got to pick people that have that mindset of you can't be hanging out with guys that are wanting to go do wild stuff and live this single life, because you're going to just fall into that trap. And if you hang out with people that like value the sanctity of marriage and, do things as a family, well, you're going to replicate that.
Yeah. Most of my friends are in relationships right now or looking for one. And they're committed. But I used to hang out with a lot of players when I was younger in college, and that's kind of what I gravitated towards.
Yeah, of course. And so you have to make. I think there's a big red pill movement right now for guys to, and it's in response to all the feminism and all of that. But there's a reason that traditional values worked for centuries, and It's because they work.
I mean, there's so many studies on how children end up in a single parent household versus a dual parent household.
Yeah.
And it's not good for the kid.
It's not good. It's really bad. So, and I feel bad for that. It doesn't mean that if you were born in single parent household, you can't be successful, but the propensity, the environment, everything is stacked against you now.
Right.
So like, why do you want to handicap a kid if you can't? And it drives me crazy that when I see people that are parents, and they'll divorce, they have kids,
Mhm.
and then they'll get a divorce because there wasn't even anything big, but they're not happy. They've grown apart, quote unquote. I'm like, you have a kid. It's not about you or your happiness anymore. It's about your kid. Like, you're so selfish. You care about your happiness more than the success of your own child.
Yeah.
Sad.
Yeah. I think it's situational, but yeah, overall, I've seen that too.
Yeah. I'm not talking about extreme abuse or things like that, but you'll see people that sometimes will walk away because they're bored from a relationship
Right.
with a kid. Like, what are you doing?
I mean, it's a coin toss, they say, right?
Yeah.
With marriage, 50% divorce rate.
Yeah. Well, I think people are more selfish now. They're more worried about their own happiness. And the point of getting married, you have to think about the other person's happiness, and you have to think about the success of the family, the success, if there's children, the success of the children. So your happiness really should kind of come in last.
Damn. That's a hot take for a lot of people, I bet.
but think about your grandma, your great grandma. Wasn't that probably her mindset?
I mean, our grandparents had like 10 kids. That was normal back then, right?
So was your grandma or grandpa worried about his happiness, or what was he worried about?
Probably the kids. I mean, baby boomer generation really spawned a lot of families in America.
That was what the most important was. That, like, doesn't mean he didn't want to be happy, or your grandma didn't want to be happy, but that kind of came in the last place.
Yeah. Yeah. My grandparents, they put a lot of value on their family, I feel like, You're seeing that less and less these days for sure. I wonder if social media played a role in that.
Yeah, big time.
There's a lot of studies on mental health and social media, the correlation now.
Man, I think we're all addicted to it. We have to use it for business.
I can't even watch a movie now without looking at my phone.
I can't either.
It's so bad.
I can't. Watching a movie, if I don't get caught within the first few, 15 minutes, I turn the show or the movie off because my brain is like, like the fast.
It's bad though. When I was a kid, I used to love going to the movies. That was like it would make my whole week.
It would.
And now it's like, I don't even want to go anymore.
It's sad. It's sad. Yeah, there's a lot of negative consequences. And I think it's had a really bad effect on men and women. You see it. So many men are like without relationships.
Yeah.
They can't even get a woman. The women are over getting this like influx of attention, and now they think, I only want this type of man because I see that type of lifestyle, and they don't even give an average man a chance.
Yeah.
But both are ending up unhappy.
Yeah, there's this calculator that you type the salary. Have you seen this?
I've seen it.
Yeah. Salary and the height.
Delusion calculator.
Yeah. It's so wild. I was messing around with it. And I think if you want to if you want to meet a man that makes 100K and is over 6 feet, it's like 1% or something.
Yeah.
Super low.
Yeah. And so, before social media, if you were a woman or a guy, you kind of worked in, were in certain friend groups, and they kind of met with other friend groups. But, maybe if you're a real outgoing person, you went to a lot of parties and stuff, you met more people, but you kind of would meet within that group, and people would kind of like find each other, right?
Right.
And settle in. Now it seems for the women, they're getting so much attention from all over the world.
Yeah.
And you have these guys saying, "Oh, I'll fly you out," or do whatever. It's crazy, right?
It's nuts.
But that kind of messes the mind up a little bit on
both sides.
On both sides. So some guys can't even get a girl, and then the girls get so much attention. They're like, okay, this is I'm not going to settle for anything less.
Yeah.
But now they're passing up a really good opportunity with maybe a really great guy, and they might not realize it until they're in their late 30s or 40s.
Mm-hmm.
And now the options suddenly have evaporated.
Or less, because they can't have kids at that age.
Right. And now they're like, okay, now I'm ready to settle down. Now I'll give a guy a shot, but they're,
a lot of guys are taken by that age, right?
They're taken, or if they're trying to go, like you said, that 6 foot, 6 figure, who is he going after? And he's going to be probably going for, if you're a 40-year-old woman and you're trying to go for someone in your age range, if you're not giving an average guy a shot, if you're saying, no, he's got to make this much money and he's got to look like this and he's got to be charming, he's all this. Well, the other women want him too. So now you're not competing with other 40-year-olds, you're competing with 21-year-olds.
Yeah. Yeah, it's rough now.
And if you have trauma from relationships and all of that.
Which everyone does.
Yeah, everyone does. Men want they want peace. So it's not even about necessarily only looks. It's also like, oh, I'm going to marry someone that's not going to have a lot of trauma and drag that into my life.
Yeah, because we come home after work. We don't want more issues, right?
Yeah.
For me, that's so important.
It's so important. You want to have peace. You want to have you just want a peaceful, happy relationship. And so I am a proponent for people getting married younger,
How young we talking?
I don't know what worked for our generations in the past.
I wonder what the average age was in the past of marriage. I feel like it was young 20s or...
Probably, yeah.
Now it's got to be 30s.
It's got to be 30s. Some people are pushing it to late 30s, and then they're trying to start families, and it's
That's
tough.
rough, yeah.
It's rough, yeah.
And dude, now people at the bars and clubs are just on their phone. Like, you don't socialize anymore.
I don't know. Did you grow up going to like house parties and stuff?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you've noticed that, but there's not... Okay. Maybe I'm a little old that I'm not getting invited, but I do have a lot of friends at younger ages.
Yeah.
And they just don't go to a lot of parties.
Really?
Yeah, very rarely. I'm not saying never, but I feel like there was a party like every weekend somewhere with a group of people, and now they're just kind of at home. And I think that's social media, because when I grew up, we didn't have social media, and you were bored all the time. Like, people don't realize how... I even saw a funny little like reel on Instagram on people like, oh, I want to be back in the 90s. And then they're like at home bored all the time. So you're bored all the time. So all you're thinking about is, I want to meet people. I want to go with my friends.
Facts.
Right. So what did you have to do? You had to go hang out, whether that's skateboarding, a party, whatever you like to do. You're always, trying to get I noticed a lot of young people are not even getting their driver's licenses.
Really?
I was trying to get my driver's license the day I could, because I wanted freedom. I wanted to go hang out with my friends.
That was a big deal as a teenager.
Yeah, a big deal. And I've met so many people that don't even get their driver's license till they're like late teens, early 20s. And I'm like,
that's late.
I'm like, what the heck?
Now Uber's out too. Before we didn't have that, but
yeah, you could Uber. That's for sure. But at the same time, it's like we had such a drive to get out and be free.
Right.
And now, people are they're never bored. They're sitting, you go to the bathroom and you have your phone bored, right?
Yeah.
You're never bored. You're always entertained at all times with your phone.
And you're seeing a lot of kids stay at home now until their late 20s.
Yeah.
I feel like I wanted to get out. I know my mom watches this, but I wanted to get out ASAP of my house.
Dude, I can't even, I swear to you, I cannot remember the last time I heard about like a couple like 18-year-old guys turning 18 or girls and moving in together and getting an apartment. Everyone lives at home. Yeah. And I know part of it is the inflation and the cost of living, but people stay at home. It's
I wanted to get out immediately just to like be on my own.
Yeah.
I don't want to live at home until I'm 30.
I know a lot of girls and guys, and they're not that are in their mid to late 20s and they live at home.
Damn. Well, that's inflation, I think, too.
I think so.
College debt.
I think it's just like you can't even, college debt, can't even afford it.
Yeah. Interest rates are crazy right now, too.
I feel bad for people.
Yeah, it's rough.
I think it's, you have to have a drive to be successful, because the middle class is going away and you're either going to be broke or you're going to be rich.
Yeah, it's going to be gone in our lifetime, I think.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Well, Ephraim, it's been awesome. Where can people find you and keep up with you, man?
You can find me on LinkedIn. You can find me on Instagram. King Spear is my handle. Email, cell phones. I love helping people with IT, cyber, any kind of AI business challenge.
Perfect. Hit him up, guys, if you have any questions about that. Thanks for coming on, man.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, guys.